Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. So unfortunately, we have to discuss some of the noise or nonsense, whatever you want to call it, that's going on surrounding Dark and Darker and Nexon. I was planning to be working on another video for you guys, which I will be releasing. However, I woke up today to the Discord notification that most of you guys would have saw as well, and there was a whole bunch of shouting. Shouting in the Discord, but also in the form of videos and posts and just endless stuff. So here's the thing you guys probably all have seen already. So basically they have a cease and desist. I'm not really sure how you even say that. Letter being sent against them. So interesting to note, this is just a letter. And it's not the first time that Nexon has done this with other people, which I'm going to show you guys. And yes, I do understand that there's obviously a history here with some Dark and Darker employees having worked for Nexon. You guys are all pretty well informed of what has gone on in the past if you're interested in Dark and Darker. That being said, this letter doesn't really have anything legally binding about it, and DMCAs on Steam happen all the time. So, I like to think as Nexon as the kind of Oblivion Imperial Guard here. However, we don't actually know if anyone's actually done anything wrong. They're just simply stepping in and saying, stop what you're doing.
It's all over, lawbreaker. Your spree is at an end.
Even, in Oblivion, you had options. You could go to prison, you could pay a fee, or you could fight the guy, kind of thing. So Ironmace has options, and we're just not aware of what any of those are right now. Now, about this letter, these have been issued to people in the past for anything, really. I'm going to show you guys some examples. Like, I found articles from 10 or more years ago, where they were trying to shut down a whole bunch of private servers for MapleStory. So, I'm not claiming to be an expert here or know anything about this legal stuff that's going on, but essentially they send letters to all these private server owners and then start eventually threatening actual real legal action from the courts with, forcing some of these guys to pay like $350,000 or $300,000 if they're going to keep these private servers running. So that all starts with a letter. Yeah, so it's a little scary. But there's been letters before and letters sent towards other things that were meaningless. Like, for example, we're going to skip ahead here and I'll show you an article from 10 years ago. And this was them trying to shut down a forum because they thought this forum was promoting a private server, which, yeah, it's illegal. That's not something they want to be letting continue. However, this server was doing absolutely nothing wrong, so they just basically freaked out everyone on this, well, I guess it wasn't the server, but the forum. Basically just freaked out everyone on this forum and told them they were shutting it down, sent them a letter, tried to scare them, intimidate them, shutting it down. And then after actually looking at the setup, everything was just fine. They weren't breaking any rules. There's nothing that had legally been done wrong. And this forum is still up today. Now, like I said, there is a history between Dark and Darker and all these other things could be going on. But there's a little part of me that just wants to be positive and think that, look, this has happened before. They're doing everything they can to slow and make it a really bad launch for Dark and Darker, scare and frighten and have, the users just debating whether it just creates animosity between everybody. And it's an easy thing to do. Just send a letter saying they've done something wrong. I mean, the cops were told when the cops were raiding the headquarters of Ironmace and all this crazy news was coming out, they literally found nothing, from what I understand. So I think we need to all err on the side of caution here, and this is exactly what I mean. If you look at this letter, it essentially is just word for word, here's all the rules you've broken, stop immediately. It's not an order from a court, it is just a letter. So the server guys actually replied and basically were like, well, we're going to stop doing all these things, but we don't think we're doing them anyway. And then nothing happened. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there and kind of shed a little bit of light, maybe a little bit of positivity on the fact that it's not all doom and gloom. We haven't had any updates from the Dark and Darker devs, and I don't expect to get any updates because with any legal issues, the more you say, the more trouble you can get yourself into. So I'm still confident, I'm still hopeful, and take the advice from Irleth here. She has a very good explanation of what we all should be doing. And this is pertaining to the gossips around Dragonborns, but, it applies to real world things too.
Come on here, lad. Tell us. Did You believe in this dragonborn business?
Some of you would be better off keeping quiet than flapping your gums on matters you don't know anything about.
But I do think that's some pretty solid advice. And I'm not
I
trying to be
definitely
naive here, or
understand.
just sugarcoat and
No.
basically be a huge Dark and Darker supporter and be oblivious to all the things that could happen. It's pretty serious. I'm just not a big fan of making a kind of clickbaity video about something that we really know nothing about. So, yeah, I kind of did something similar, but essentially I'm trying to just say that there's a whole bunch of stuff that could happen, and everyone's jumping to some pretty crazy conclusions that Dark and Darker is like dead in the water. So, to avoid just going down that pathway and telling everyone doom and gloom, the world's ending, Nexcon's taking over Dark and Darker, you just don't know any of that's going to happen. So I find it kind of frustrating that so much news is already being shown that it's just huge drama, you know, huge news, crazy stuff's happening. And it's like, oh, but it's just a letter. So, anyway, maybe it's just me being silly, but I'm not too concerned yet. So with that, I just want to say thank you all. I will see you in the next video. And just interesting note for you, everyone here, the finals is actually a NextCon game. So going forward, that would probably be a game that I try to avoid. So once again, thank you all. Hopefully some better news is on the way. And, you know, stay positive. And I'll see you next time.
I can feel it.